In this issue, let's look at a story that inherits a 40 billion estate, Mr. Deeds, in a mountain town with simple folk customs. People treated each other with sincerity and lived a life like a paradise. Deeds was a takeaway guy from a small pizzeria. He was kind and enthusiastic and was deeply loved by the residents. Deeds liked to create congratulatory messages very much, but he was not hired by a greeting card company. However, the residents of the small town really appreciated Deeds' talent. They often let him come on stage to read a few words to liven things up. One day, 2 New York visitors found Deeds and brought very shocking news. Deeds had an uncle who climbed a snow mountain accidentally frozen to death at the age of 82. Before his death, he built a global media kingdom valued at $6 billion with his extraordinary talents. He never married, had no children, and left no will. To continue to control the company, Chuck, the second top spot in the media, intended to join other shareholders to buy Uncle Deeds' shares for $40 billion. But the prerequisite was that the legal heir must first be found to sign the share transfer contract. Finally, under the intensive search, Chuck found the only close relative, Deeds. When Deeds heard the news, he didn't have many surprises. He was very satisfied with his current easy life. He had no interest in living a life of luxury and dissipation. Just when it was the first time to travel and play, Deeds, the lucky guy, had already been the focus of attention. As soon as he got off the plane, reporters risked their deaths to take photos for exclusive news. To draft the contract, Chuck gave Deeds 2 days off. Deeds lived in the big mansion where his uncle used to live. The one who served him was a housekeeper born here. He used Hawaiian juice to rinse his mouth every morning. Babe was a journalist who did everything for the exclusive. With the performance of colleagues, Babe pretended to be a troubled girl. She successfully had a relationship with Deeds. Babe claimed to be a teacher in the health room and also came from a remote town like Deeds. Deeds wasn't a cunning person, thinking that what Babe said was true. As he was single for many years, so when he saw this girl in front of him, he felt like spring was coming. Deeds invited Babe to dinner, and this was all Babe could wish for. During the conversation, Deeds told all about his life. However, Deeds, who had money, still maintained a heart of innocence. He saw a couple in the restaurant celebrating their wedding anniversary, so he took out $20,000 and asked the waiter to give them anonymously as a gift. Soon, the celebrities on the scene recognized Deeds' identity. They had a polite greeting with Deeds. They wanted to see how this lucky guy excelled. However, Deeds' speech and demeanor seemed incompatible with this place. In these people's eyes, Deeds was a silly hillbilly. Listening to a table of unbridled ridicule, Deeds was very angry. He beat up these hypocritical people on the spot. Then he took out a sum of money to compensate the manager for the loss. But he didn't know that everything was secretly photographed by Babe. Deeds' move attracted the attention of a star. The star admired Deeds very much and immediately invited him to drink. The next day, Deeds' video had spread all over the streets. Last night he acted like a buffoon in the video, and made a big fuss with celebrities in New York City, doing all bad things. This greatly affected the company's reputation. Chuck warned Deeds that his behavior was to reveal to the outside world that the company was going to collapse. At the funeral, Deeds felt a strong urge to write poetry for his uncle. In his hometown, the coffin would be open to inviting guests to pay respects, so Deeds opened the coffin without authorization. Unexpectedly, the uncle's body had not thawed, so he popped out of the coffin. There was an uproar at the scene. To make matters worse, it was broadcast to a national audience in real time. Deeds also apologized for this. The housekeeper said that Deeds' uncle was a good man. He wouldn't blame his nephew for being rude. The housekeeper lived with Deeds' uncle for 35 years. They talked like a father and son every day. They discussed life and art. In the evening, when Deeds was dating and chatting with Babe, he found a fire on the floor not far away. Diz, who had always been enthusiastic, rushed to the scene immediately. He didn't say anything, just climbed up the pipeline. The owner of this house was a cat lover. She vowed to live and die with her 7 cats. Soon, Deeds helped her find all the cats and threw them out the window. Then the cat owner jumped downstairs and was rescued. Naturally, this scene was filmed by Babe, but the media sought to gain public attention for profit. It turned out to be black and white, a video of Deeds' heroic rescue of people, edited into a scandal of the dude abusing the cat and humiliating the cat owner. Babe was very angry about the company's distorted facts. She thought Deeds' heroic deeds were strong enough. The company shouldn't have bullied a good person like this. Having said that, he threw down the camera equipment and left angrily. Unexpectedly, the media managed to find Chuck. They knew that Chuck wanted Deeds to sign the share transfer contract and leave soon. But Deeds found a girlfriend here, so he was reluctant to leave. So the media wanted to cooperate with Chuck to get what they needed. The next day, Deeds took Babe on a private jet. They came to the town where Babe had lived for years. Babe was shocked that the place she casually fabricated actually existed. After wandering for a day, he all returned to the door of Babe's house. Babe told Deeds with sincere words and earnest wishes. He didn't belong to this world of sensual pleasures. He should return to the town early to enjoy the blessing and avoid being hurt by the villain. Pure Deeds didn't understand Babe's implication. He was still immersed in the joy of love. Diaz gave Beckham a card love letter. It was filled with his deep love. As she read and saw sweet words, Beckham's eyes could not help but be filled with tears. She kissed Diaz, hiding behind the door, and couldn't help crying. Living in the world of abuse for many years, she felt pure love for the first time. Diaz's kindness made Beckham extremely moved. She decided to tell Diaz all the truth on the next date. The boss advised Beckham not to ruin her future for a fool. Beckham retorted, "They shouldn't treat a good person as a fool." Diaz was not as cynical as everyone else. In the evening, Diaz carefully arranged a candlelight dinner. He was ready to propose to Beckham tonight. But Chuck visited suddenly, so Diaz might as well see what news came today. During the live TV broadcast, the media reported a secret video of the dating between Diaz and Beckham and also exposed the true identity of Beckham in public, and even slandered her deliberately approaching Diaz to fill his apartment with hidden camera equipment. Diaz was very sad after knowing the truth. He glanced at Beckham, who had just entered the door, and turned and left. Diaz went back to pack up his luggage and signed the share transfer contract in response to Chuck's will. He also donated all 40 billion to charity. At this moment, he had no nostalgia except for his sadness. Diaz refused the company's plane, stood on the road, and hitchhiked back to the town. Although he had returned to his previous life, his dreams and passions no longer existed. Beckham was also depressed and always living in self-blame. One day, Beckham saw the news broadcast. She knew that Chuck was breaking up the company and auctioning the company's shares at a high price. As a result, 50,000 employees were about to face an unemployment crisis. Beckham knows that Diaz was not willing to see these tragedies happen. She immediately got up and rushed to the town to find Diaz. On the way, Beckham accidentally broke the ice and fell to the ground. Diaz heard someone calling for help and hung up to find that the person who fell into the water was Beckham. He ridiculed whether Beckham hid the camera secretly again. After apologizing to Diaz with a crying voice, Beckham couldn't help but sink. Diaz saw that it was not a joke, so he quickly broke the ice to save her. After learning about the cause of the matter from Beckham, Diaz came to the meeting of shareholder dissolution. He gave a touching speech, successfully incite all shareholders to oppose Chuck. However, Chuck held 51% of the equity. He could still veto other shareholders with one vote and decide to dissolve the company. At this time, Beckham stood up. It turned out that Diaz had found a diary in his uncle's apartment. Then he gave the diary as a gift to Beckham. Beckham read through the diary and found, after Diaz's uncle had achieved his work, he had a love story with a maid. According to the workbook of the maid, there was only one woman on duty on Uncle Diaz's floor that night. 9 months later, the maid passed away from childbirth. The baby boy born by the maid was the housekeeper who had lived with Diaz's uncle for 35 years. So the housekeeper was the true heir of Diaz's uncle. The share transfer contract signed by Diaz was not established at all. The housekeeper who unexpectedly inherited 40 billion inheritance was overjoyed. He swept out Chuck and other conspirators on the spot. As a thank you, the housekeeper gave Diaz $1 billion free of charge. Diaz also returned to the town with Beckham to live a peaceful life. Of course, the enthusiastic Diaz would not enjoy the good things alone. He spent a lot of money to buy cars for everyone in the town. Okay, this is the end of this issue. Friends who like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you next time.